I want to tell you something I've never said out loud in a room full of clients. I'm an accountant, a qualified CA. I spent years in big four firms understanding tax law, financial statements, timing differences. I could explain accruals until the barista called last orders. And yet there was a period in my own life where I couldn't pay my own salary. Not because the business wasn't working, not because I wasn't good at what I did, but because I had completely lost control of my cash flow and I was too ashamed to admit it. This video is about what happened and, more importantly, what I built out of that mess. I'm Alexandra Bromham. I'm a chartered accountant, founder of Ventabell Garam and author of The Jar Principle. And if you've ever laid awake at 3 a.m. running the numbers in your head for the 100th time, this one is for you. Let me take you to a specific night. The house was quiet. Everyone was asleep. My son would have been about 3 weeks old. His breathing was this soft, barely there little snorty sound from the bassinet beside the bed. And I was lying there staring at the ceiling, running the numbers again. I hadn't been able to take any time off because we couldn't afford for me to. Payroll was coming, the mortgage was overdue, a balloon payment on the car was due, and whilst I paid half of it, there was no clear way to cover the rest. The ATO had started calling, and I hadn't paid my own salary in months. As an accountant, the shame of that cut deeper than the fear. I was supposed to be the one who understood money. I was supposed to be the person other business owners came to for help. And there I was at 3 a.m. trying to work out which bill could wait and which one couldn't. And that just wasn't even the worst of it. I had 3 children under 5, and I was the sole breadwinner. I had staff who relied on me for their salaries. And one day I came home from swimming lessons, kids still in the car, and a debt collector knocked on the door. My stomach lurched, and I didn't want to open it, but I knew that I couldn't pretend that it wasn't happening. The moment forced a kind of brutal clarity I hadn't been willing to face. And it wasn't about working harder. It wasn't even about selling more. It wasn't about being better at accounting. I was already good at that. The problem was structural. The business had no system controlling the movement of cash. In hindsight, I can clearly see what happened. In the hormonal sleep-deprived moment, I was completely at sea. And the reason it took me so long to admit it was pride. Because if you're an accountant and you can't manage your own cash flow, what does that say about you? Well, it says I'm human. And humans running a business under real pressure need systems, not theory systems. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I built out of that mess. But first, I want to make sure you know you're not alone in it. Now, you might not have a debt collector at the door, but I bet something in that story felt familiar. Maybe it's the Sunday night stomach drop when you open the bank app and see a number that you know you can't carry through the week ahead. Maybe it's the small lies you tell your partner so they don't worry, and then the bigger lie you tell yourself that a new client will fix it. Maybe it's paying your staff on time and shorting yourself, then telling yourself you'll make it up next month. You won't, because next month has its own version of this. Maybe it's waking at 2 a.m. and checking your email for a remittance you know hasn't arrived and then lying awake for 2 hours anyway. The maybes are exhausting, aren't they? Maybe the big client will pay early. Maybe the VAS will be smaller than expected. Maybe the overdraft will renew. Maybe next month will be kinder. A business can't run on maybes, and your nervous system can't either. And here's what I want you to hear very clearly. This has nothing to do with how smart you are, nothing to do with how hard you work. So let me give you 3 pictures because I want one of them to really resonate with you. There's the physiotherapist. Her clinic is booked solid. Patients love her. The waiting room is always full. The team is stretched and busy. And every month she pays herself last, if she pays herself at all. She's technically running a successful practice and she can barely cover her own salary. Not because she isn't brilliant at what she does, because her billing cycles, her invoicing habits and her cash flow rhythm have never really been designed. They just kind of sort of morphed and happened as the business grew. Or the agency owner, her team is brilliant. Her client list is genuinely impressive. And she crossed 7 figures last year for the first time. She also hasn't paid herself properly in 4 months. Every time cash builds up in the account, it gets absorbed. A staff member, a tool, a client project that ran over, and she tells herself this is just what growth looks like. But it isn't. It's what running without a structure looks like. The money is real, but the timing is absolutely terrible. And then there's the consultant. She looks completely in control at networking events. She's articulate, she's sharp, she has this great advice she gives to other people running their businesses. And then she sits in the car afterwards and quietly runs through the numbers and whether she can juggle rent, salary, suppliers, and tax all in one fortnight without disappointing anyone. Nobody knows. And that's actually the worst version, the hidden invisibility. None of these people are failing and they're not bad at business. They're just dealing with a problem few of us has ever been trained to deal with. What we're missing isn't effort, it's structure. Before I tell you what I built, I need to name the lie, because almost every business owner I've worked with has told it to themselves at some point. Sometimes it helps, most of the time it makes the gap bigger. Here's what I mean. I worked with a building contractor a few years ago who had a genuinely exciting year. He doubled his revenue in 12 months, he had record results, his accountant was thrilled, and the P&L was something to be proud of. However, about 10 weeks into the following quarter, he called me. His overdraft was at its limit. 2 suppliers had moved him to cash on delivery. He'd been using his personal credit card to bridge payroll. He was in any practical measure in crisis while technically recording his best year ever. So what happened? Growth ate cash before it even produced any. Every new contract meant more staff, more materials, more overheads, all paid out weeks before any milestone payment arrived. The revenue was real and it was coming, it's just that the timing was bad. The P&L smiles, the bank balance grimaces, and more revenue doesn't fix that gap, but a system does. That's also why I couldn't think my way out. I had the knowledge, I just didn't have the structure. The answer, when it finally came to me, wasn't that complicated. It came from a memory. I was clearing out my daughter's bedroom and I found the glass jars I kept my pocket money in as a child. I was probably 6 or 7 when I started, and I really only stopped when I was a teenager and I had a proper bank account. 1 jar for saving, 1 jar for spending, 1 jar for a little treat. Like I said, I still have those jars on a high shelf in my daughter's room where she can't reach them. Sentimentality there at its finest. The system was really simple and it worked because it removed the illusion that all money in one pot meant I could afford that something. When the saving jar was empty, I had no savings. When the treat jar was full, I could treat myself. There was no pretending. Somewhere between childhood and starting Venta, I forgot the lesson. I forgot that clarity is not childish, it's powerful and creates a discipline all of its own. So I went back to the principle, not the jars themselves, obviously, but what they represented. Built the grown-up version of the same idea. Bank accounts instead of glass jars, 5 of them, each one given a specific job before any dollar is spent. The first one is for your owner's salary. This is my paycheck, not a bonus, not the scraps at year end, a regular non-negotiable allocation because you are the most important employee in the business. The second one, tax. This money already belongs to the ATO. It needs to be ring-fenced the moment the cash arrives. That way, when the BAS is due, it's already covered. The third one is for bills, salaries, rent, subscriptions, supplies, everything. It's the engine room. Keeping it separate stops operating expenses strangling any hope of profit. The fourth is your growth and buffer, your cushion, your springboard. It absorbs the shocks, funds opportunities. This account changes how you make decisions. And the last one is income. This is the hub of everything. This is the account on your invoices, where your clients pay into and where you move everything from into the other buckets. Every dollar that comes into the business gets sorted, not after you spend it, before you spend it. And in a nutshell, that's the jar principle, the whole thing. Give every dollar a job before you spend it. It sounds almost embarrassingly simple for someone with CA after their name, but simple is exactly why it works. When clients adopt this system, the first thing they say is, it feels like going back to basics. That's the point. Managing cash flow doesn't require a finance degree. It requires visibility, honesty, and the discipline to give every dollar a job. The jar principle isn't just a savings habit. It's the foundation of a complete system I have spent years developing with real clients, what I call the Freedom Framework. It has 4 stages. I want to walk them through with you now because I think you'll recognize exactly where you are. Stage 1 is visibility. You can't control what you can't see. This is where we uncover what's actually happening, not what the P&L says is happening, but what's really moving through your bank account. The timing gaps, the hidden leaks, the quiet drains that nobody talks about. This is the work of the first few chapters of the series. Stage 2 is direction. Once you can see the problem, you need a destination. Most businesses drift financially. Money arrives, it gets spent without a clear structure guiding it. Direction gives you cash, somewhere intentional to go, goals, targets, the few numbers that actually matter. Stage 3 is implementation. A strategy only matters if it becomes behavior. This is about turning financial clarity into daily habits, simple rhythms that run even when you're tired, even when things are busy, even in a difficult quarter. Consistency matters more than perfection here. And stage 4 is review and refine, because cash flow management is never quite finished. It's always a work in progress. Businesses evolve, markets shift. The final stage makes sure the system keeps working as you grow. Not more complexity, just more precision. When these 4 stages work together, something powerful happens. The anxiety around money starts to fade, decisions become easier to make, growth becomes more intentional, and the business starts giving back to the owners what they hoped for when they first started it. Not the Instagram version of freedom, the real kind where you pay people on time, sleep through the night, and build a business that serves the life that you actually chose. Here's what I want you to take away from this first video. Cash flow stress isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that your business is running without a system. And systems can be built to solve the problem. That 3 a.m. ceiling stare? It's not inevitable. It's not the price you pay for owning a business. It's what happens when timing and obligations pile up without a structure to hold them. I know because I lived it and I built my way out of it, and I've since helped a lot of business owners do the same. In the videos that follow, I'm going to walk you through each part of the Freedom Framework in detail. We'll cover why profit and cash are not the same thing, why the leaks you can't see are often the most expensive ones, how to build a buffer from scratch even when the cash feels tight, pricing, debt, tax, all the things that feel overwhelming until you have a system for them. But right now, what I want to do is give you one thing you can do this week. There's a free tool linked in the description, the Actually Fine Check. 16 honest questions, 2 minutes of your time. It'll tell you whether your cash flow is under control, whether you're vulnerable to shock, or whether cash is running you rather than the other way around. It's free because I want you to start this week, not next month. If you found this useful, subscribe. There are 11 more videos coming in the series, each one built around a specific stage of the Freedom Framework with practical tools you can use in your business the same week you watch it. And if you're ready to work through this properly with someone alongside you, there's a link in the description to book a complimentary business X-ray. It's a 90-minute session where we map exactly where your cash is going and what the structure needs to look like. No obligation, just some clarity. I still remember the night I turned the light off and actually slept. Not because everything was fixed, but because for the first time I had a plan that worked in the real world, not just on paper. That's what this series is for. I'm Alexandra Bromham. This is the JAR principle. Let's build a business that finally lets you do the same.